Welcome to Education Today on KPFA 94.1 FM. I'm one of your hosts, Kitty Kelly Epstein, and you'll be hearing from our other host in just a couple of minutes. Today we're going to talk about something that is kind of newish, at least the term is new in education. It's something called, quote, positive education. Our listeners might think that all education is supposed to be positive, but actually a lot of people's experience in school is not that positive. And so this whole movement toward positive education has become popular across the country and actually internationally. And so we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about one school in Oakland, which has been applying the principles of positive education for 53 years, even before the term was ever dreamed up. We have a student and a teacher from the school who are going to talk about that positive concept. It is being used internationally, and actually my co-host has been invited to present to a conference internationally on positive education because the program that he works in, the people doing this international conference decided that it was the best example they could think of. So he's going to talk about it there. But before that, he wanted to be able to present it to KPFA because our listeners are always interested in the well-being of the young people in our community. The essence of positive education is adding to traditional education the aims of happiness and well-being. Seems like we would all want happiness and well-being, right? But actually, if you look at the programs and the goals of most schools in the United States, it doesn't sound like it's completely revolutionary, but actually it is not explicitly the purpose of education. Teachers have been measured on test scores and graduation rates, but no one has ever measured whether students were happy. Positive education has had many contributors, and I'm working on it myself with some people in other countries. But this school has been using these principles long before they had the name positive education. So we'll be discussing three of its principles today, using whole school approaches, strengths-based education, and relationship-based education. And we're going to talk with Jaron Epstein, my co-host, and Talia, who is a student at the Street Academy and is going to tell us about her experience with this. So before we start with the questions, I want to say just a bit about the Street Academy itself. The Oakland Emiliano Zapata Street Academy is a product of the civil rights movement. It was born out of a period 50 years ago when people were demanding that the education for black and brown students be improved. There was Marcus Foster, the superintendent at the time, was very interested in making that happen. And so a group of community people and activists along with him started the Street Academy. The government had the idea that it would be absorbed into the regular school district at the end of 5 years. But the people who worked there decided that the school would be wrecked if it were absorbed by the regular district. And so there was a big march and protest. And people said, no, we don't want to be absorbed. We want to continue to be autonomous. So the superintendent at the time, Ruth Love, agreed that the school would have partial autonomy. And so for all these 50 years since, the Street Academy has been able to implement these very positive approaches with young people, which many other schools have difficulty, not that they wouldn't like to, but it's kind of difficult to implement these approaches given a lot of the restrictions, which you will hear about. So I want to start with Jaron is a teacher at the Street Academy. Talia is a student at the Street Academy. And so I'm going to ask each of them for their thoughts about these principles. So the first positive education principle is the idea of implementing whole school approaches where positive relationships and well-being are prioritized and staff development, and student interaction are important. So, this concept is it's not just, of course, there are teachers here, there, and everywhere who are trying to make students feel happy and valued. But this positive education idea is that it needs to be a whole school approach. So, Jaron, does that apply to Street Academy?
I definitely think and know that it does. From my own experience, having gone to school there myself and having graduated from the school and now being a teacher there, I've seen from the moment that students have some interaction with the school, it's a very much different experience than at other schools. There's an orientation where you come to learn about the school. There's an interview. So this is an opportunity for us to actually get to know students when they're coming into the school. And then you're assigned to a counselor, teacher, or mentor. And so this is an adult who you meet with on a daily basis. When you first come to school, you meet with them. And this is just a trusted adult, someone that you're able to talk to and is able to advocate for you.
And do you keep that person? They start out with you when you come to the school. Is that a long-term relationship?
It is. For the entirety of the time the student is at the school, they'll have the same counselor, teacher, or mentor.
And how many students does a teacher have to be the counselor for? Because most teachers aren't counselors, right? In most high schools, you have one counselor that has like 400 students, and then the teachers are just supposed to teach their classes. But how many students does each teacher have to be a counselor for?
So for most teachers, it's maybe 20 students in the CTM. I'm a counselor, teacher, or mentor also. I have around 10 or so students, so I do have kind of less than the typical teacher does.
Okay, so 10 or 20 students that you have a long-term relationship with. So, Talaya, do you feel that the school has principles and approaches that make positive relationships, happiness, and well-being more likely?
Yeah, I actually do think they put in more effort than most schools when it comes to positive relationships, and not even just between the student to student, but teacher to student. And I know that like they try to get to know their students on a personal level, where it helps them better in school and outside of, and makes them comfortable in their classrooms. And I personally feel like it makes more students want to learn and want to be there rather than just going there because they have to.
So do you want to be there? Do you like to go to
Yeah,
school?
I actually do enjoy being there.
You actually enjoy going to school?
Maybe not school in general, but I like being there. So I feel like that makes me like being at school. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you have one of those counselor, teacher, mentor people who's responsible for you?
Yeah.
And what do they do with you?
I know when you first get there, it's a CTM time in the morning, and mine is Erica, and you can either check in with her during then or check in with her after. And I know they go over your schedule and like things that would probably help you during the school year. And I know like if I had anything wrong, I could ask her about it, or like even if it was a personal thing, I could still talk to her about it.
Okay, so this is an adult that you could talk with about something personal, which probably with the counselor that has 300 or 400 students, you might be less likely to have those kind of conversations. Another principle of positive education is that it's strengths-based. So it's based on the idea of finding students' strengths, and this applies to everybody. It's beyond schools. The idea is that you look for people's strengths rather than looking for their weaknesses. And a lot of school is about what you didn't get right? Is that a lot of times, it's not that everybody's trying to be negative, but it's like, okay, you didn't understand this, so we have to work on this. I don't know whether in all schools people are saying all the time, these are your strengths. You're great at this. At least not for everybody. I mean, I'm sure for the best singer or the best athlete, yes, they're getting that. But maybe not for everybody. So, Jaron, do you feel like there's a strengths-based approach at Street Academy?
I definitely think so. I think often at schools it's challenging for students because who they are as a person, their culture isn't always accepted or welcomed at the school. And so I think if that's the starting point for students, then they're not going to feel welcome from the beginning, regardless of what any teacher has done. But if they don't feel like them as a person is welcome at the school, I think then it's hard to then see the strengths in the students. And so I think that at the Street Academy, the students are accepted. They're at who they are as a person is accepted, what their culture is accepted. And I think that by students having a closer relationship with an adult on a daily basis, I think that gives more opportunity to find out what the strengths of the students are and to build a trusting, honest relationship with the students so that they feel open to be able to share some of those things.
And do you know the strengths of the students that you're the consulting teacher for?
I do. And I think that by knowing the students' strengths, I think it, really helps. I really like the students, and I think that helps because the students can feel that, and they can feel that I actually like them and that I want to be around them regardless of whatever it is that we're doing in class or that we're learning about. If they're having a problem or an issue, they know that they can come find me. And I find that often is, happening where something is happening during the day and students need to talk about something and they'll come and we can address it then or at the end of the day. But I think that makes a big difference, definitely, for students.
Thank you. And Talia, what are you thinking? Do you feel like people look for student strengths or find your strengths?
Yeah, I think they go out of their way to figure out certain students' strengths. Well, all students' strengths. I know that for me, I know personally that if I had something that I needed help with in the classroom or even outside the classroom, I could still talk to my teacher about it and I won't feel like a burden or I won't feel like, oh, I'm taking up class time when I ask a question. They make students feel comfortable and like they really want to teach. And I think even in the classroom with like assignments and stuff and how they plan their assignments, I know that they plan it to fit every student and how every student learns. And I feel like the relationship that they have with those students makes it easier to understand, and it makes it easier for the student to want to actually speak up and be like, I need help with this, or I want to do this, or, I feel like because most kids don't really want to raise their hand or participate to get things wrong. But when you have that relationship and you're comfortable with your teacher, I feel like it makes it easier for them to learn and just be there overall.
So you don't mind answering things because you're not so worried that you're going to get something wrong and then people are going to think you're foolish or not smart or whatever.
No, I'm not. I don't worry about that.
You don't worry about that.
No.
Okay. You also have some career plans, and I'm wondering if this strengths-based idea of, looking at students' strengths is related in any kind of way to the things you want to do career-wise, because you have some pretty definite ideas about what you're going to do, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about becoming a lawyer, then after being a lawyer, switch over to being a politician. I would say probably mainly outside of school, I would say that they put a lot of attention in when it comes to helping with, like, what I want to do. I would say they do look for, like, programs that I'd be interested in, opportunities I would be interested in. And I'd say not just your counselor, but all teachers. And I feel like that makes it even better because it's like, okay, it's not only one person you can talk to. If they're busy, you can go talk to another. If they're busy, you can go talk to another. Even the principal, he's recommended me programs and opportunities that will help me with what I want to do in the future. And I know they encourage kids to, even if you don't want to do something, even if you don't want to say you don't want to go to college, you still want to do something, it's not a specific thing that you have to do. If you have any type of goal, I know we're going to help you do that goal.
And so you might get introduced to some lawyers, some politicians, maybe.
Maybe, I think.
We could, I know Barbara's going to be mayor for a while, and that's cool as far as I'm concerned. It's lovely, but maybe you could be next or something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it seems like things happen at Street Academy that are unusual, that maybe have to do with this relationship and strengths-based thing. Like, I don't know, you guys go traveling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can you say about some of those other kind of things that I don't actually hear? Especially, private schools are schools where parents have a lot of money. Kids do go traveling, or they take their prom and do it in Hawaii or something. But but not very many families in Oakland can afford to send their kids to prom in Hawaii. So, but you all do some extra type of things. You want to say something about those?
Well, we have a travel club, and I know that provides opportunity for students to be able to travel outside of the country. I know they've been to Paris, Italy. I think they're planning to go back to Paris again this summer. We also have potlucks, and so people can, bring different types of food. It's open to families, and so I think those are definitely a couple ways that, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And I remember a long time ago, a teacher took students on a bicycle trip to Mexico.
That's right.
That was amazing, man. I was like, I wouldn't be able to do that, but hey, that was good. Any other things like that occur to you that are special that the school does?
I would say what Jaron said. Like, you don't see that happening at many schools, where if you don't have to put in $1 million to even be able to participate. So I think it makes it fair for every student to have a chance to participate in those things. And I feel like that's really nice because you can't really get that everywhere. I know everybody doesn't have the same experiences or chances that most kids or some kids would have. So I think that gives them the same chances and opportunities that anybody else would have. And it doesn't make kids feel left out in certain opportunities they wouldn't have in, like, everyday life.
Thank you. We've been talking with a student and a teacher from the Oakland Emiliano Zapata Street Academy, which has been identified with some people as the only notable school among some of these international folks that actually implements positive education, and has been for a long time, even before the term positive education was created, because the school is 53 years old. Do you want to tell us anything more, just a last final thing about the relationship, how it builds strong relationships? Just one last comment from either of you?
I think it's really important, and I think that for students it may be somewhat of a real change and something to get used to, because you're not really maybe used to having maybe the most positive interactions and experiences with adults or with teachers, with the principal, with staff at a school. And so I think that makes a big difference if you actually feel like that you have a good relationship with someone, even if it's not everyone. If you have a good relationship with one person, that can make the difference of whether you actually want to go to school or not. And so I think, yeah, definitely.
So we know that we have a massive problem with students being absent from school in the United States, and actually it's a problem around the world. I didn't really realize that until recently. But there's a lot of chronic absenteeism. And there's also, we know that there are 5,000 homeless people in Oakland. With 5,000 homeless people, some of them are young people. And that may not be obvious to everybody, but some people don't have a place to live, or they're living in foster care, or they're not getting along with their family, or they have all kinds of problems. And if the expectation is just you show up at school, whatever school we assigned you to, and nobody's going to find out anything about what problems you might be confronting, it's going to be hard to go. And I think the social problems have a lot to do with why a lot of people are missing school. You have a final thought for us?
Yeah, I feel as if I agree with that. It could be socially and that things that like they deal with personally, and I feel like the school actually really helps take that pressure of school off, because I know some people have to deal with the pressure of regular life, and then they have to deal with the pressure of school, and I know that can make them really not want to go, because I wouldn't want to go if I had to deal with things at home and then I have to go to school and deal with things over there, and it's like, okay, that's, sometimes it becomes too much for some students. So I feel as if the school, they make it so you don't have that pressure of, oh, I come here and if I fail, I fail. It's more of I make a mistake and I'll learn, and I feel like that should be for every school, because you go to school to learn.
Right.
And a big part of learning is mistakes.
Right.
But it makes students not want to make mistakes when y'all put so much pressure on the students, and makes it seem like, oh, well, you're not going to be able to complete this if you make a mistake. When what's the point of learning if I can't make a mistake? And
right.
I feel like it makes kids not want to learn, because I feel like everybody understands, okay, mistakes, learning. But if we can't make the mistake, what's the point of learning? So then it's like, what's the point of going?
Right. Good point. Thank you to both of you for your insights about this question. And we're also, for our last few minutes, we're going to talk about, this is the birthday of KPFA. And it's the 77th birthday. 77th birthday. And we have with us the director of KPFA.
The interim general manager.
Okay, I'm going to get the numbers right and the titles right and everything right in about a minute, maybe.
Well, what we're Kitty, what we're practicing is letting people make mistakes to learn, right? Exactly. That's what we learned today.
Yeah, right. And I sure make a lot of them.
And I do too. So for anyone who's, who listens to KPFA, we are turning 77 years old. The goal of KPFA is to build bridges and understanding between peoples. For me, KPFA is a place where people can get educated about what's going on in their communities. This is what Education Today is doing for you all who listen to Education Today. And it's wonderful to hear about, especially with today's episode, about learning from your mistakes. That is something I, as a general manager, support here. When we have folks coming in who are learning about radio production, and I tell them, this is a place where you can experiment and learn, right? And when you actually get that hands-on experience, you grow in ways that you couldn't otherwise when someone else just tells you this is, this is what you should do. Right? A lot of times I don't know, is that true for you, Kitty?
Yeah, well, Jaron and I have both learned everything we know about radio at KPFA. I'd never, Kevin Cartwright asked me to do a show many years ago, and I didn't know anything, and he taught me some stuff, and now Jaron's come and added some more stuff. So, yeah, it's a place to learn, and I also think that I appreciate the fact that KPFA has a whole show devoted to education once a week, because that is unusual. It's surprising, but there are not a lot of shows that are completely devoted to education. And the fact that KPFA we're not constrained by some opinion that we're supposed to have that's on somebody's list. And we know that a lot of the American press is very constrained by what they can talk about and what they can say. And we don't have that at all. We talk about whatever, and our listeners can call in when we do call-ins and say whatever. So it's a free space, which is really important in the field of education. So yeah. I really appreciate KPFA for that, and hope that people will give money to it, because if we had to take money from some corporate type person, we wouldn't have the possibility of talking about the things we talk about.
Exactly. And for all of you out there who want to ensure that KPFA continues to do this type of work, make a donation today by calling 1-800-439-5732. That is 1-800-439-5732. If you want to do it in a more expedited, quick way with less, less human error, because it'll be on your part to be putting that information in, you can make a donation easily on KPFA's website, kpfa.org. You can click on the Support Us link, or you can just go to kpfa.org/donate and make a donation today. And Kitty, so for our listeners who listen to Education Today, what has been like the most exciting thing for you the past year that you've covered?
Wow, so many things. We've a couple things. We've covered education internationally, which we've covered education in France, in China, and in some other countries, which is unique in the U.S., and it's really important for people here to know about education internationally. And a couple weeks ago, actually we're going to have, this is going to be in a couple weeks, you'll hear it, this session with the public defender of San Francisco has done this remarkable thing to challenge the system. So there have been a lot of things like that. I find every show really exciting to do, actually. And it's exciting to do with Jaron, too. He's a great, great co-host. Lots of insight.
Wonderful. And then so for everyone else out there who, maybe you listen to Education Today, but you don't know anything about KPFA's history, you know little, or maybe you've listened to KPFA a long time and you'd want to know more about our history, we have a thank you gift that we're offering to folks who make a donation. So for a $77 donation, we have one ticket, or for a $150 donation, you'll get 2 tickets for you and a guest of yours to go see the documentary KPFA on the Air. It was done in the year 2000, narrated by Alice Walker, and the filmmakers Veronica Selver and Sharon Wood explored the station's 50-year history for that documentary, and the documentary came out in 2000. So just know that from then, that's what's. Let me pause for one moment. I'm speaking a little bit faster than I can talk. But what's going to happen is that we're doing that screening at the Alameda Theater and Cineplex on Saturday at 2:00. Following the screening is going to be a panel discussion that is hosted by our own Vilma V of Women's Magazine, and that's going to include some of the KPFA on-air talent to talk about what their experience is like being at KPFA. And then following that, we're going to have a gathering celebration birthday party at the California Historical Radio Society's museum, which is about 2 blocks away from the Alameda Theater. And so, again, for a donation of $77, you get 1 ticket as a thank you gift, or a donation of $150, you get 2 tickets as a thank you gift for this special event. It's going to be fabulous. I'm going to be there. I don't know, Kitty, are you going to be there, Kitty?
I don't think so, because I'm not going to be in town, but I definitely think everybody should go because KPFA is a treasure.
Yes, KPFA, and we will miss you, Kitty, but you're going to be there in spirit.
Yes.
And so for everyone, please support KPFA, support Education Today by making a donation at kpfa.org/donate, or you can call 1-800-439-5732. Is there anything else that people need to know, Kitty, before we sign off?
I don't think so. I just want to say thank you for being with us, and really, the more I read the mainstream press, the more I know how much KPFA is a treasure. So please support and give in every way you can to support, financially and every other way. Thank you to our guests. It's been really interesting to talk with you about your thoughts about education. Thank you to Antonio for being with us. Take care. We'll be back with you in another week. Bye-bye.
Support for KPFA's 77th birthday event comes in part from the California Historical Radio Society, a local nonprofit, filmmakers Sharon Wood and Veronica Selver, and KPFA's Vilma V. KPFA is celebrating 77 years with a benefit screening of the documentary KPFA on the Air at the Alameda Theater and Cineplex on Saturday, April 18th, starting at 2 p.m., followed by a panel discussion, and then a birthday party at the California Historical Radio Society Museum at 4 p.m. Further information at kpfa.org/donate.
The following is brought to you by no one trying to sell you anything. This is 94.1 KPFA, 89.3 KPFB in Berkeley, 88.1 KFCF in Fresno, and online everywhere. Tell a friend at kpfa.org.